Hey guys, it's QuickyBaby and welcome back to World of Tanks. This time we are going to be watching Bersuck1234 playing in his T-54. This is the Tier 9 Soviet medium tank. It's infamous in the game really. Back in the day, this tank used to be horrendously overpowered. This was very early in the game though. We're talking, say, 2011, before Wargaming really improved their servers and how the shot registration happened. And so you'd find that people were just bombing it around in the T-54 so quickly that people were almost unable to hit them. But the game has changed and improved a lot since then, and the T-54 it still holds up true. It hasn't really been changed since its introduction that much. So how has it held up during really the last 4 years of World of Tanks? Well, it's a Tier 9 medium tank with a 100mm gun. Let's just see which gun Bersuck is using. Bersuck is using my favorite gun, the one with 201mm of penetration, excellent aim time, slightly better rate of fire. There is an alternative gun to use on the T-54 which has got higher penetration by I think about 20mm, but you do lose a lot of the aim time capabilities of the gun that Bersuck is using, which I think is 2.3 second aim time. Now the alpha damage on the T-54 is lower than all of the other Tier 9 medium tanks. It's only got 320 alpha damage, where the M46 Patton is now packing a 105mm. The Type 61 is packing 105mm, so is the Centurion 7-1. And so, while the T-54 is not going to really have that high alpha impact like the other tanks do, it has a very impressive rate of fire. And it can be quite surprising how quickly the T-54 can do damage to its opponents. And also, having this 320 alpha damage, and roughly I think about 7 and a bit rounds a minute, I can't remember exactly, I could be very wrong there, means that it can trade quite well with tanks that have 105mm and 120mm. For example, you can easily squeeze out 2 shots for every shot this T-34 fires. And that allows Bersuck to take him down. Now, I had trouble penetrating the T-34. He is using his AP rounds here. As I mentioned earlier, his AP rounds have got 200mm of penetration. But that is more than enough to go through the weak point on, I believe, a stock M103 turret there. If you find that this 200mm of penetration is very underwhelming on a Tier 9 medium tank, and you'd be right to think so, then there also is the opportunity to fire heat rounds with this vehicle. And this really is what makes the T-54 so darn strong. 330mm of penetration on its heat rounds allow the vehicle to compete directly in frontal combat with pretty much any tank. So the other strength you're seeing of the T-54 is its 120mm of frontal armor. It has simply incredible frontal armor. In fact, when you jump up to Tier 10, either playing the T-62A or the Object 140, which both come on from this vehicle, your hull armor drops to 100mm. And trust me, if you haven't played the T-62A or the Object 140 and you're only a T-54 driver, when you get to that Tier 10 tank, you will appreciate the hull armor of the T-54 so much more. And this hull armor has allowed Bersuck to get to this point of the game, having received multiple hits from his opponents, still with all of his hit points remaining. Now we saw Bersuck basically go and save the game there. There were quite a few tanks in the enemy cap, which frequently happens on the encounter of Erlenberg. He tracks the AMX 1375 and finishes him off in third-person mode, which is very useful to see if you're going to be able to make it through the debris or not. So he defended the cap valiantly, taking out multiple enemy tanks in the cap circle. And when he had gone inside that encounter cap circle, i.e. he prevented the enemy from continuing to cap when he was in it, he turned around and dealt with a tier 9 German tank destroyer, the Waffenträger auf Panzer IV. Little bit of server lag there with the camera adjustments. And this game is progressing. He has 2 tanks and 2 artillery versus 4 tanks and 2 artillery on the enemy team. Make that him and 2 artillery versus 6 tanks on the enemy team. Now the T-54 doesn't have remarkable gun depression, which means that he was unable to aim down on the hull armor of the T-32 there. And when the T-32 started face-hugging him, he was able to rip him apart. But as we can see, Berserk angles his armor, making it so the T-32 can't penetrate him, and now he is getting the juicy side of the T-32. Berserk is feeling the pressure right now, and he obviously elects to fire his first heat round of the game. We hear that sizzle as it goes in. Looks like it damages the turret ring of the T-32, as the T-32 is now turning his turret very slowly indeed, and that allows Berserk to finish him off as he finally gets down the slope far enough to make use of the, I think, 5 degrees of gun depression of this tank. He narrowly avoids taking a big hit in the backside by the artillery and soldiers onwards. He was quite lucky to absorb a shot from the Rheinmetall Borsig in his tracks during the engagement on the T-32, and the Borsig fires a 150mm shell into his tank, completely wrecking it. Now he knows he has to get out of that position. Now he's firing HE ammunition. The first one goes in for 417, and now, realizing that he has to stop the Borsig from turning his turret, he wedges into him. That was beautiful play. Absolutely fantastic. If he hadn't stopped the Borsig from turning his tracks, the Borsig's turret and the track traverse would have added up, so to say, to enable him to turn round and take out Berserk. Fantastic play there, taking out the entirety of the Rheinmetall Borsig, using his HE ammunition wisely. Now he sees an S-51 reversing, trying to get out of the hot seat. Puts a good one into him. And a second one. However, he gets spotted for his troubles. Oh no, what's he being ambushed by? Oh, it's a Hummel! Narrowly avoids the shot. And puts that... Is that a tier 6? A tier 6 artillery down. That tier 6 artillery did sign up with a tier 7 tank. It's unusual to meet a Hummel in a T-54. So Berserk was alone versus 5. And now he's narrowed it down to 2. If we look at the enemy team, there's a Conqueror already with a Top Gun. He is having a fantastic round. And a Jagdtiger 88. Berserk is on 9 kills and 6,000 damage. Even if the battle was to end now, it'd be a fantastic result for a T-54. But he's not done yet. He's hunting. He knows where the Conqueror and the Jagdtiger 88 were last spotted. His team are also helping him out by telling him how much health each of the 2 tanks have. They're informing him that the Conqueror has a 1 shot left in him, but the Jagdtiger 88 is on full health. Now, if you're playing and you're watching an exciting game like this, and you've got the pleasure of having a player like Berserk on your team carrying your behind as you've managed to die, then there are certain bad things to do. Bad things to do are to start taunting the player that's carrying you. Calling him, for example, a passive player, calling him a pussy for not going in and fighting. That would be detrimental to your chances of winning the game. However, providing them with correct information like that can be very useful indeed. So his team letting him know that the Conqueror is a 1 shot enables Berserk to realize who he has to prioritize. Doesn't look like this Bulldog was very well, guys, earlier, does it? As he spots the Conqueror, and lo and behold, he is a 1 shot. on 92 health. Now the low caliber, well, relatively low caliber 100mm will not be able to do that kind of damage with an HE shell. And Berserker's had to do so much ass kicking that he's run out of AP shells. So a heat will do. We can now tell, with the rate that the cap timer is going up, that there are 2 tanks in the cap circle. He has a minute left before the enemy managed to complete the cap. He's going to take his chances and try and close the distance. He spots the Jagdtiger, but does not get spotted himself. He gets spotted there, however, with the second glance. So he proxy spots the Conqueror, and he's got 30 seconds left in the game. Now, the problem with the Jagdtiger is its hull is massive, and that allows Berserk to put a shot clean into it without even getting spotted. Absolutely amazing. However, he comes around the corner very aggressively. Thankfully, he kills the Conqueror, but the Conqueror takes a huge chunk out of Berserk's health, meaning that now the Jagdtiger 88 only has to penetrate 1 shell to take him down. So Berserk's repeating the process. He's side-scraping out at the perfect angle. Where is he? There he is! Oh, bad luck. The shell didn't fly true. And the Jagdtiger 88 realizes that he has to do something. He can't stay put. So Berserk takes advantage of this. The Jagdtiger wasn't expecting this, and now Berserk is in. The Jagdtiger needs to reverse right now to get his bum to the wall, but he doesn't do that. He continues to do a spin. And that's the worst thing that you can do. Looks like the Jagdtiger figures out what he needs to do, but it's too late! And Berserk manages to outplay him and take him down. So what a fantastic end to the game. The Jagdtiger did make a slight mistake. When you saw his hull aligned up along here, all the Jagdtiger would have had to have done is reverse his tank, and then Berserk would have probably had to have gone back round to re-engage. If you're in a tank destroyer, don't keep spinning. You're only going to make yourself look like an idiot and get completely destroyed by a strong medium tank player like Berserk. We saw everything that's great about the T-54 here. Its 100mm gun with its great rate of fire is able to quickly pick apart its opponents. It has fantastic engine power and good track traverse, which allows it to outmaneuver its opponents, such as this Jagdtiger 88 and also the Borsig that we saw earlier. We also witnessed the fantastic turret of the T-54 bouncing shell after shell after shell off his tank. And that unlike most medium tanks, the T-54 can at least half reliably bounce shells off its frontal armor. So Berserk, congratulations to you, 11 kills and a huge amount of damage. But what's hilarious is that you don't even complete your medium tank 14 mission, even in this kind of a carry. Anyway, let's just take a very quick look at the post-game stats. What a round! Pool's medal, Kolobanov's medal, high caliber, defender, and a steel wall. 7,500 damage and 1,934 base experience. You truly carried your team to victory here. You did everything that you could to win this game. Berserk, thank you so much for sending me this replay. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and hopefully you guys did as well. If you did, please consider giving this video a like down below. It really helps the channel out. And if you want to see more T-54 gameplay, then simply click up here and you can go through to a similar kind of replay, this time by myself. And let me know in the comments down below what you think about the T-54. Do you think it stood the test of time? And if so, why is this the case? Is it just because Tier 9 medium tanks are awesome? Or do you think that the vehicle struggles against the newer Tier 9 medium tanks, for example, the Type 61? And I'd be interested to know how you think this compares to the Object 430 version 2, which is the other Tier 9 Soviet medium tank. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. You've been epic, and hopefully I'll see you soon.